Welcome to the 2007-2008 NFL franchise with a 32-team franchise. This is the Carolina Panthers team recap. Yes, the Panthers went 7-9, and they were the second-place team in the NFC South, losing out to the New Orleans Saints. Let's go ahead and break down their year. As you can see, they started out very slow. I think it was 0-5. And then they started to get a few wins a little bit later in the season. Went on a small win streak there from the Bucs to the Saints. Jake Delhomme was the quarterback the entire season. As you can see, 2,900 yards, 28 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 63% completion. Delhomme, for me, I was expecting more from him as that solid quarterback starter, but he just did not deliver when it mattered. He had some good moments, but nothing that really took him to another level. Now, Derek Carr did have some playing time due to some downtime injuries, but for the most part, Delhomme was fine. But as you can see, David Carr there with about 300 yards. One of the main receivers was Michael Gaines, the tight end, with 919 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns. A very strong tight end. Actually, he's like a 78, 79 overall, but he actually made the Pro Bowl with this type of a season. So I thought that was interesting. I always like when people with lower overalls make the Pro Bowl. So he did make the Pro Bowl as a tight end for the Panthers, being one of the very few under 80 to win that seed. So there you go, another highlight there. Now, as for Steve Smith, he had only 833 yards and 8 touchdowns. He was injured for a chunk of the season, but when he was in, he was very explosive, as you can see right there in that play. I had to do another angle there. Look at that one-handed grab, being Odell Beckham before Odell Beckham Jr. even showed his face. And there we go, another one, a diving catch. So when he was there, he was a spark plug for the team. But again, when you're injured, you can't provide that spark. And in doing so, that led Gaines to have more targets, as well as Drew Carter. And Drew Carter has a lot of highlights in this highlight reel because he was relied upon to start taking over that workload when Smith was out. He had 755 receiving yards and 9 touchdowns. And again, he was a deep threat for Delhomme. I did want to get them a solid second receiver, and I wasn't really able to do that. In the draft, I got them Kenny Phillips, the safety, to help their defense. But when it comes down to their passing game, nothing really improved except for they let Jake Delhomme test free agency, where Delhomme went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but they signed Mark Bulger from the Rams. So I feel they got an upgrade at quarterback, and I felt it was a very accurate move based on the performance of Delhomme and then the opportunity with Bulger. There was no real opportunity to pick up a solid quarterback in that draft, so going with Bulger was the next best thing. As for the running game, I was very disappointed in it. I know D'Angelo Williams did run for 749 yards and 6 touchdowns, but I expected him to do better. He didn't have as many breakout runs. I mean, there's one right there, as you can see. But I expected more from him during the season, and there also was never a good backup. If it wasn't Williams, Deshaun Foster did not deliver. I'm trying to remember who even was the third running back. They did draft Steve Slayton in the draft because of course, Jonathan Stewart was drafted by the Giants, and they ended up going with Kenny Phillips as safety. But they did get Steve Slayton in like the 3rd round to try to help their rushing attack. There you see a kick return touchdown. I believe that's Jarrett, number 80. And then here they are blocking a field goal against the Saints. As for their rankings, as you can see, their total passing yards, they were 15th, just right in the middle, but then their rushing yards ranked them 30th, 3rd from the bottom. When it came to total points per game, they are not very impressive either. They had, for least yards allowed, they were the 13th ranked defense, so on the positive side of the spectrum. With least passing yards, they were top 10, so they were good against the pass. But when it comes down to the run, they were just ranked 20th. When it comes down to least points allowed, Again, they were top 10, so they had a fairly strong defense with stopping people from scoring, but it didn't pay out for any true victory. There you have it, the 7-9 Carolina Panthers.